Hi, everyone, and welcome back to AI InterConnect podcast. I'm your host, Lauren. This is the podcast where we speak with founders, CEO, investors, and operators who are building real system in AI, data, and technology. AI InterConnect is a platform for real conversation, no pitch, just how people are actually building. And today, I'm joined by Salbego, founder at Cloud Secure. And Cloud Secure is building a security and verification layer for AI agent and third-party skills, helping team understand what they are actually deploying into their system. Eddie, thank you for being here. Very happy to have you on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me as well. Always excited to get to talk about AI agent frameworks and security and just frontier technology in general. So happy to be here.
Wonderful. We're not going to do two win, of course. Let's start.
Whatever you want to do, I could go as deep as you want to go or stay very surface level. So whatever
Yeah.
works.
Let's start about you. Let's start with your background so listeners understand the path that led you here. You have been operating across multiple frontier spaces from Web3 to AI and now agent security. Jerry, how did your background across those ecosystems lead you to build Cloud Secure?
Yeah, it was a natural progression, I spent over the past decade, building and by default having to secure platforms across Web3, crypto, DeFi. And because of the nature of blockchain technology, especially within finance or anything that has a monetary value, these are major or were and still are major adversarial environments where the threat has been constant, including a hack for $300 million like 5, 6 days ago on Drift protocol, a major DeFi platform. And the consequences are immediate. And when the AI agent ecosystem exploded early 26, literally overnight, I saw the exact same patterns that I'd seen for the past 10 years in crypto from its earliest days till now. And that's massive adoption, zero security infrastructure, bad actors moving faster than the community could respond, influencers just promoting just stuff that they either shouldn't be promoting or should be giving major disclaimers. You know what I mean? And people are just running around installing things at a frenzy rate, pure FOMO. I mean, I lived this for 10 years in crypto. Same thing happened, So OpenClaw literally went from zero to, almost I think 350,000 GitHub stars, and fastest growing open source software in history. And users have been just installing software, like I said, from unknown developers with full access to all their machines. I mean, no one's verifying anything. So I knew this uh, um, before, and we absolutely 100% need a security layer for the AI agent ecosystem. And right now, it's one of the biggest opportunities. Security has also always been its own, kind of gap in sector. This is a completely new sector in the way that what's really unique here, and sorry, this is probably a long-winded answer, but this is really unique, and it's one of our competitive advantages, is that in history, users, self-serving users, you, me, small teams, my mom, my grandmother, my brother, they downloaded software that was already highly secure embedded. They downloaded Microsoft themselves, right? With a CD-ROM or a download. This is all secure. Now, all of a sudden, smaller self-serve users, developer teams, your average Joe Schmo are literally downloading as a frenzy the most risky software in history. And it's a complete behavioral shift and a complete technology shift because the industry's never had to deal with this before, right? So it's an interesting time. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I love it. That's a good beginning. And yeah, very interesting time. Some will say risky time, some others so exciting, or all of the above. I think it's an exciting time. What stand out is that you are not just building a tool, you are trying to define a new layer in the stack.
Yeah.
When you explain cloud secure to someone outside of AI security, how do you describe what you actually do and who you help?
Yeah. So first, our demographic, our core users are independent developers, small indie developer teams, prosumers, people who have enough technical skill or urge to want to learn, which is one of the biggest user bases of OpenClaw. And then small to medium businesses, right? We are not enterprise. Our cost point is very low to serve these users, which are self-serving user base. And what this means in very simple terms is, you could think of us like the antivirus of AI agents, right? That was actually some of our user base coined that term for us. And in a simple way, we verify every agent, developer tool, agent skill that you download to verify if it's malicious, to provide a very detailed overview and map of the sources of access that it has, and provides a safe onboarding experience to either provide explicit instructions, do not install, or this is very risky for X, Y, and Z reasons. Proceed with cautions if you must do, etc. So that's a simple form. There's a lot more to it, than that.
Yeah. Okay. I love it. Who gets the most value from your platform today?
Those users I mentioned, self-serving users. For security teams are the enterprise, CrowdStrike, Cisco. Those are a completely different business model. I mean, they have long onboarding processes, obviously 50,000 a month, 500,000 a year, 15,000 a month is just too much money for most people, right? Even some small businesses, they don't also serve the self-serve customer. And that's what we serve, the people who go and just download things on their own, right? That they find. They don't have their own CISO, right? Chief Information Security Officer, or any security teams, etc.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Okay. A lot of moving fast with AI agents, but security often comes later. And unfortunately, and right now, what feels like the hardest parts of building and scaling cloud secure?
You said the hardest part?
Hardest part,
Yeah.
yes.
The hardest part is getting people to care as much as they care about installing the hottest new thing that someone shilled to them on Twitter or LinkedIn. That's the hardest thing. The FOMO is so severe right now that people just don't even care. It's reckless behavior, which is normal with human beings. We've been doing this since the dawn of time. You know what I mean? It's just who we are as species. So that's probably the hardest thing, is getting people to actually realize what the hell they're doing. You know what I mean? And get in front of enough people. You know what I mean? For them to care and see the severity of this. You know?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And what problem keeps coming back despite?
It's really that we don't. I wouldn't say we have many problems right now. We're new. I just launched this 2 months ago, but we're already at over 1,600 users. We hit number two product of the day on Product Hunt. Our SEO and GEO strategy, which we spent a lot of time on, we've already had almost 40% month over month growth, and a lot of strong organic search growth. So we haven't had many problems yet. We sure will, because I'm a serial entrepreneur and I have launched many companies, and there are always challenges. It's that famous Peter Thiel line, if you haven't read his book, which every entrepreneur should,
Which one?
which is, what was it? Owning a startup is like jumping off a cliff while trying to build the airplane on the way down, or something like that. It's real. That's a real truth. So I'm in the early, let's say, dating phase where everything is lovely and wonderful. The biggest challenge is, yes, getting people to care as much as they should. That's really it. Eventually there'll always be challenges. What I mean? New competitors coming in. We don't really have much of a competitive threat. Enterprises don't really touch our self-serving user base, nor does their business model actually do that, right? They're enterprise, long onboarding, all sorts of stuff. So I'm sure there will be new competitors we'll have to deal with, and other things.
Of course, of course. From what I see across conversation, there is a gap between how fast team adopt AI agents and how they think about risk. From From your perspective, what shift in security matters most right now, but is still underappreciated?
Sorry, what was the last part? What is real?
Is what the shift in AI security matters most? What shift matters most right now, but is still underappreciated?
It's interesting.
Espace.
No, it's. I'm just trying to think about how to. In my hesitation is only because this sector is like
Love it.
3 months. Yeah, agents were being talked about last year a little bit, but until OpenClaw came with the open source framework, you actually allowed to touch and grab agents. You couldn't do that before. You were locked inside, these giant enterprise, Anthropic, OpenAI, et cetera, and they didn't provide these tools for real agent orchestration, usage, customization, and deployment. They didn't have that till now. So it's really kind of hard to, address some of these questions in that exact way without just giving a kind of, I don't know, not that valuable answer, if that makes
Of
sense.
course,
Yeah, yeah.
definitely. But by your experience, what are people underreacting to, overreacting to?
People are overreacting to, first of all, underreact to is the security, hands down.
But
Security, man, human beings. That's all I have to
yes,
say. I'm going to
of
try to be nice here, but you live
no,
long
no,
enough. I could tell you're not a spring chicken. You're probably a little older than I am. I'm getting up there. You learn a lot about human behavior. I'm just like, Jesus, man, people really need to like realize what they're doing. That's one part. But what's really fascinating right now, more so, is here's a case example. I think this is critical because I believe we're going to see a shift in this year for sure. And people are trying to do it, companies are trying, but they still haven't nailed it. There is a major difference between the memory systems of how memory is being recalled and utilized right across agent systems and workflows and output. That is so much different than when you're using a normal chat interface, whether it's on Claude desktop or browser, ChatGPT, and then once you go into Claude Code and you're using more of a file system, right? And you have hooks and all these things to trigger agents to do things. The memory systems are absolutely astonishing how different they output, right? I can get 95% plus accuracy on my Claude desktop and browser. It's granted, I'm becoming errand boy. I do a lot of manual file uploading. I have a very strict policies and governance rules. I built it like the army, and it takes more work to manage 20 different agents at the same time because it's all manual, right? You move into the more Claude Code, Codex, where you're dealing with the file systems, it's completely different memory, and the output is pretty much terrible still. And there's so many systems that are being used to do this better, and none of them ever really work that well. OpenClaw's QMD, which is a memory system that utilizes LLM that was created by the Stripe co-founder, is actually pretty good. But all that is for is recalling memory. It's a faster, more correct way to recall, but to actually enforce rules and be able to output into a production environment, whatever you are working on, whether that's code development, front end, back end, content, whatever. There are much different systems, and that's something that everyone's still trying to achieve. I think there's going to be a shift because as companies scale, as mass adoption grows, this won't be able to reach the critical scale yet until accuracy it gets better, if you know what I mean, right? It just will be a limit always. And I think that's a big thing for people to look at now and also watch, and also for new business owners and entrepreneurs who could actually innovate in this sector right now to build something that can bridge that accuracy, but the limitations of being inside a chat interface, browser or desktop versus going into the file structure of a Claude Code, which everyone uses now because it's very similar to OpenClaw because it's just a multi-agent framework, right? So I know that was a little
yeah,
different answer, but I think if you watch
I
what's
love it.
happening in AI right now, 30% of the topics online are about memory, if not more. And then security is another 30. So
Yeah, That's true. No, it's very interesting, and I'm learning every day. Thank you for giving me this. You're positioning cloud secure as an integrity layer, which is a much bigger ambition than just scanning code. Looking ahead 12 to 18 months or
Hmm.
less because things go so fast.
Of course.
Every month there is something. What does success realistically look like for Cloud Secure?
Sure. Yeah. That's it. That's an
I
easy
mean, you
one.
just started, but
No, no. Well, you have to draw the roadmap with some guarantees that you know that everything changes. But yeah, success basically is when every agent installation is verified right before it runs. That's success, and hopefully they use our platform. Obviously, right? When there is a universal kind of a security standard for agent skills, the same way that there's an SSL for websites, right? Which has been a standard for years now, that's a level of success. And we want Claw Secure to be that trust layer that the entire ecosystem relies on, not just for OpenClaw, but for other agent frameworks that are open source, which many are launching now since OpenClaw launched, but including other popular current ones like LangChain, Zapier, etc. Right. So that's really our success, is building this infrastructure, security layer, and eventually a standard. Right now, there's no point creating a standard because unless I had $1 billion right now, which who knows, maybe we will. We're in a very hot sector, but unless I had $1 billion right now in the influence of, you know, Oracle or not Oracle, Cisco or CrowdStrike, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Things are changing too fast. Plus, it would be really hard to do that. SSL was a totally different time when that was created. You know what I mean? Things were different. Now, could you create this global? I don't know if you could, because it's also a lot more different systems, right? Anyways, I'll stop there.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no, I love it. What are you deliberately choosing not to build right now?
What choosing not to build?
Deliberately choosing not to build right now.
Anything that doesn't serve our user base. You know what I mean? So what we do build that's separate, and it's more of a self-liquidating marketing tool, is we are launching open source and free developer tools. We've already launched 2 last week. We built out an agent orchestration, something that we built and used custom for running a very strict guideline multi-agent frameworks to produce output very correctly. It's using a YAML function. So we just launched that. It's called Railgun. You can go to our GitHub. We also launched another one called Shut Up Tabs, which, as anyone knows who uses VS Code with Claude Code, is that, they, every time an agent writes a file, unless you explicitly tell it use Bash or Python or something, it opens up a markdown file, which is really annoying. Seriously, you're running like 10 agents in a workspace or 20, you'll end up with like 30 markdown files open. It's absolutely insane. So no one had built that, and there's complaints everywhere on GitHub, on Anthropic, and no one cares. So we just built it ourselves internally and then launched it for free. A bunch of other things like that. So that's what we do separately, but it ties into, number one, bringing value to our users. It's custom tools. It helps bring, and they're also highly secure because they're made by us, right? So the furthest this thing we would actually venture into is more tools like this within our brand that are highly secure and also help our users build systems, onboard better agency, better tech, onboard new tools safer and more easy. So like our new runtime monitoring product that's launching in about 2 weeks or less, that comes with its own agent companion that we have built. So it's basically a highly advanced skill that calls all our cloud services and everything. And that actually, not only can the user with OpenClaw use this skill within its agent framework to get ideas to real-time scan using the platform, but it can also say, hey, review this, use our Claw skill, review this thing, get the verification, give the whole breakdown of any security threats, et cetera, but it also helps it install in better ways. It's a whole companion of basically how to structure your architecture and onboard new tools safely and actually better optimize system. So that ties in as well. Like, we want to create the security platform, but eventually the developer tools to help scale, right? Other ecosystem tools, etc. Because the biggest thing with our user base is that no one knows how to install anything. They fucking, excuse my French, literally, they just fucking give a link to OpenClaw and say, hey, could you install this for me? OpenClaw's like, sure, great. Yeah.
I wish I know all these. I love it. I need to. We need to keep the conversation going together. Where do you see the biggest opportunity for expansion beyond OpenCloud?
You mean for my company?
Yeah.
That's what I actually just said, kind of. I answered that within what does success look like. So we are starting with our wedge. Our wedge is OpenClaw, and then we'll start expanding into other open source frameworks. And then at the same time, we'll start expanding into other agent frameworks that are already live, like N, Zapier, LangChain, etc. So that's really our plan, to become the agent framework security layer.
Okay. Okay. What is the most important decision you are working through at the moment?
Important decision I would say I'm working through at the moment. I don't have that many important decisions that I'm rooming over. Every decision's been made or is sitting there with a couple things, but nothing that's like blocking. It's a good question, by the way, but I mean, I could say there's a lot of important actions that need to be taken right now, but it's not a decision of yes or no. You know what I mean? I know what the roadmap is. We're about to launch this new product. We're almost out of the testing phase. All that's set up. You know, our go-to-market path so far of only for 2 months has been extremely fast because of our multi-agent internal operating system. I mean, that's how we're able to do what we did in literally less than 2 months. Literally.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. I didn't know it was so new, and I'd love to use your services maybe for my own business. But you're working at the age of where AI meets real operation risk. Based on what you have learned so far, what should operators building with AI agent start or stop doing?
I would say I'll start with answering it this way is you need to have a governance layer. So there needs to be governance gating processes. Otherwise, agents run free like little wild animals because they're just robots and you know what I mean? They go anywhere that you tell them to go and they won't go anywhere. Well, not always. They'll still go some places. That's why you have to enforce. That's why I was getting back to the memory problem with Claude Code, Codex, file system, right? Agent frameworks versus just uploading a document and typing into chat GPT or, you know, whatever. So I would say that, but also verification. Like people don't go on LinkedIn and Twitter or X and just take every single influencer you see shill some shit. Excuse my French. It's so effing ridiculous, man. I mean, I'm 43. You don't have to be my age and know that half of this shit is just so retarded. All these people stating these claims you're going to be a millionaire. It's all bullshit, straight up. There's no fast, quick way for money, literally, unless you're gambling or you're a crook. That's just facts. Don't believe anyone get rich quick thing. You know what I mean? And don't believe that all these systems, everyone says, oh, I just built the X, Y, and Z. You could blah, blah, blah. It's all bullshit too, almost all of it. They're great ideas. Take the link, take the thing, give it to your agent, tell it to review it and provide a real detailed breakdown. Is this real? Is this hype? This and that. Just don't take, there's so much shit right now. It does, and I know this firsthand because I build these systems myself. I've built an entire agent operating system for my company. Eventually, I'm probably going to release as a new company as an agent operating framework. You know what I mean? You literally cannot get an output that's worth anything other than maybe 60% correctness, 70, without a very strict governance rule system that has to go through multiple layers of verification, plus spawning other agents that are actually separate from this agent flow. So they have no context. They don't get context of what the other agent that's delegating to review this. They don't get the context because then that warps their perception in their memory. Like I built, you know, and somebody say, oh, well, that's just too complicated and you're overbuilding. I'm like, yeah, well, show me 96% accuracy that I've been able to get the manual way. You know what I mean? The ghetto rigging way. And I still don't get that kind of accuracy. That's why I'm talking about memory. anyone who wants to be who is an entrepreneur right now, I almost sometimes want to stop Claw Secure just to go after that, because that's the biggest thing is the memory context and output correctness. So that's my advice right now is to actually, this is the most powerful thing in history right now, what's going on. We are in one of the biggest paradigm shifts literally ever. When they say jobs are going away, it's already happening. Anyone who believes that this is not true is just retarded. Oops, sorry. I have met Cap cousins. I come from LA.
Um,
Sometimes my bad slang, we used to say that as a child when that meant you were kind of just not thinking properly. That's bad. You can just cut that part out. Anyways, I'm very passionate right now. The point is that you need, number one, to take this stuff seriously. Number two, it's one of the greatest opportunities ever to actually utilize this stuff. Whether you don't care about it from a business standpoint or at your job, it'll change your personal life from scheduling to controlling your lights. I mean, just massive amount of value that you could do with it. But anyone who's actually trying to do something with this, you need to actually really learn yourself and use an agent to help you learn, right?
that's true. That's true.
Use an agent to help you learn. My uncle, he's using my, well, once I get this one part built, but he's going to use my operating system, right? I mentioned my multi-agent operating system. So I'm going to let him use it for his business. He knows nothing about agents. He is really smart, though, from a business and maybe in the 1990s technical experience back then. So I literally gave him, and it was just a prompt. It took the whole operating system of every single thing, how it works, blah, blah, blah. And then I had my own agent write the prompt to go teach him so he could give it to his agent and create a learning guide and I mean, just, you know, I could talk forever on this stuff. It's really,
Okay.
it's
Yeah,
incredible.
I I love it because I would love to learn all this little by little. What habits or process made the biggest difference on how you operate?
You mean right now, you're talking about in general from business, what I've learned, or you mean with the AI agents and stuff?
I'm talking about yourself. What habit? Waking up at 5 in the morning and running on the beach? What habit and process made the biggest difference in how you operate, on how you work?
Man, there's so many, it's almost hard to, I mean, life is
Yeah.
a journey, and I'm just one of those people that who's definitely obsessive compulsive in a lot of different areas of my life, and you have to be. Most entrepreneurs are obsessive compulsive, but one of my areas is self-reflection and continually trying to get better so I can achieve better things,
Yeah.
internal self-fulfillment and make more money, right? And generate more profits. So, man, I've learned so many things over the years. I actively work on myself. I have different kind of therapy, self-help, different frameworks. I have advisors I work with that are also personal advisors, right? Who also come from the business world, but also through different self-help, self-development frameworks. So I constantly work on myself. Literally, I haven't stopped working on my with writing work, actual real writing work, reviewing behavioral modification. I'm not going to a therapist for behavioral modification, but what I'm doing in these frameworks is behavioral modification. Discipline, I wake up some mornings at 5, I wake up some mornings at 9. It just really depends. But most time I wake up early. That's not really a thing. My discipline is that I basically everything I pay attention to the detail. Things need to be accurate, things need to be complete, things need to be effective. An engine doesn't run. Yeah, if well, maybe this gear is going to be 10 millimeters off. That's okay. Yeah, right. It shuts the whole system down. So I take that methodology with everything.
I love it. Makes sense. And what advice will you give to a founder entering the AI security today?
I would learn and study nonstop. Teach yourself. I didn't go to school for AI. Most of us didn't, right? I'm not even a computer programmer either. I'm highly technical just because my background, and I've built tons of software platforms and managed CTOs and hired them and have been a stand-in CTO. Not that I would code, but, enough to manage. I know how to talk code language and everything, but read and study and learn. That's the best thing you could do. Knowledge is power because things are taking off so fast. If you don't even have a basis of what this is, you won't be able to catch up. Literally every day something new is happening, you know?
That's true. That's true. That's what I do. I'm struggling, but I love it, and I try to learn and just put cloud code last week into the computer. Just need to set up all this, but that's another thing. JD, thank you so much for joining. Strong insight into your journey, your industry, and the work you're doing at Cloud Secure. Thank you so much for taking the time.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
I love it. And where can people learn about your work and reach you?
You can follow me on LinkedIn or X, which is just my name, JD Salbego. And then Claw Secure, same thing. X or Twitter is just Claw Secure.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. It was great. Love it.
Thanks for having me.
And that's it for today's episode of AI InterConnect. If you enjoy it, share it with someone who's building the future, or better yet, someone who should be. And until next time, stay curious, stay creative, and keep building. Thanks. See you very soon. Okay.